Introduction to Engineering Design. This is going to be Multiview Drawings, Day 2 or Part 2. Yesterday we talked about how to create a missing side or a missing front view or a missing top view from a multi-view drawing and how the lines should always match up. And today I want to talk a little bit more about multi-views and talk specifically about the different types of lines that you're going to be seeing inside these. You've heard me talk about these several times. A construction line is something that's going to be it's a very, very lightly drawn line, and it's used to guide other lines and shapes. So it's not actually a part of the design itself. It's not a part of the object, but it's a very, very lightly drawn line. Since I use markers and pens and I don't have any way to make mine lighter, I'm going to use a dashed line instead of a light line. Object lines are heavy, solid lines, and they're mainly used to show the outline of an object. And the object line, no matter what, takes precedence over any other line type. If you have shapes or edges behind a view, then you're going to use a hidden line. And those are heavy dashed lines, and they represent that an edge is there, but it's not directly visible. And then the last one that we're going to talk about is, I haven't really mentioned this one very much, but this is called a center line. And a center line is a line that defines the center of arcs, circles, or symmetrical parts. Usually circles like drilled holes and things like that. A center line is half as thick as an object line. So if you can make them different levels of thickness, you want it to be uh, only half as thick. Okay, so if we were, for example, trying to drill a hole, or if we had a cylinder, the way that we would actually mark these is we would use two center lines. And notice that center lines goes like heavy line, dash, heavy line, dash, heavy line, dash, heavy line. And then we do the same thing on this side as well too. So from the top view, we can actually make two center lines to indicate that this is going to be the center of our cylinder, and that's going to be really important when we're making three-dimensional drawings to know where the middle is. And if we look at it from the side view, then we can see that we can only really draw one center line. The other side doesn't look like a circle anymore, but we can tell that from this center line that this is the center of the cylinder, and we can use that for references. Okay? Now, this next one has an example of a multi-view drawing, and it has several different sizes. I'm sorry, it has several different views, and from those views, there are also lines that go along with those views as well. So I'm going to take a little time, and we're going to talk about the different lines that are inside this view. We have an isometric view, that's the shape in green, and I'm going to look at the shapes. The front side is going to look like the side that gives the most information about the object. And the side that gives the most information about this object is the side that has a hole cut in it. So we're going to have some center lines here. And this is represented by the letter CM. And it's got like a long dash and then a short dash for the center mark. And then there's also a second one, and this tells you where the center of your hole is. You can also use these dash marks for references about how far you need to go up or across in order to get to that particular piece or part. Remember, the whole point of top, front, and side views is this is how I'm going to create or make the part. These dash marks can have references or dimensions attached to them that will help us to create the part itself. I'm looking at L, and L in this spot and this spot have really, really light lines. These really light lines are called construction lines, and what they do is they keep it to make sure that the width of the object is the same as the width of the object in the top and front view, or that the height of the object is the same in the front and the right view. And also, it uses edges, and we create, every time we have an edge, we're going to create a construction line that goes out away from that edge so that we can see that that edge is actually on different parts as well too. Let's take a look at H. H is going to be a hidden line, and that hidden line for the top view represents the hole that's being drilled in it. So H for this dashed line is going to correspond to this side of the hole being drilled in, and this dashed line is going to represent this side of the hole that is being drilled in. let's see, O is an object line, and that object line shows you that that hole is actually in the middle of the, I can't say middle because it doesn't look like it's straight smack dab in the middle, does it? It's actually a little bit south, but this object line shows you where the hole is located, and the center is given by these two center marks right here. These are also object lines around on the outside, and you can see those as well too. Um, this dash that says P, these are object lines as well. These are going to be edges, and O for an object line. This H, this is a hidden line, and the center line for this hole that's getting drilled is right here. Okay, and then some people start going, well, wait a minute. If there's a hidden line down here, where's the hidden line up here? And it's there, it's just you can't draw an object line and a hidden line at the same time. So since the object line for this edge is right here, the hidden line behind it is not going to be visible from the right view. So there's a breakdown of all of those different lines and how those lines actually work together to create the front, the top, and the right or side view of the object. Now, what we're going to do is, and this is going to be part of our turn-in for part 2, is I want you to complete the multi-view drawing that you see right here. And it says quickly, so 5 minutes or less. Don't take a ton of time to try to finish out this object. You're really just trying to make sure that you have the height of the object staying the same on both sides, and that you try to make sure that think about how this is actually going to look from a side view from this side. And that's what I want you to draw in this blank section right here. If you're digital, you just use paper at home to draw the side view. You don't have to use grid paper if you don't want to, but I need to get a relative look of what the side view looks like. And once you get that, try to sketch the rest of this as well too. So sketch the missing view, which is going to be this blank one right here. Label each view that is on the page as the front, right, or top. If there's any missing hidden lines or center lines, please add those missing hidden lines and center lines. And then try to compare your paper if you have that ability to do so. If you're digital, then you're not going to be able to compare it to other people's, and try to make some revisions. And if you just submit it to me, I'll try to give you guys some feedback on it. If you submit it on time, if it's like 5, 7 days late, then I might be a little bit more hard pressed to be able to do that. And then after you get that done, the next thing is here is a multi-view of a object, and what I want you to do is I want you to try to create an isometric view of this object from the front, top, and side or right view of the object here. The construction lines will be helpful because it will show you where everything is located, so you can use them as guides if you want to. And what you could do as well is you could, let's see here, what would we, you could also do this one on paper if you wanted to. I've also got the Google Draw isometric paper and orthographic paper on the sheet for the schedule of coursework to do for the week. So you can use those as well if you want to. And so what we need for this part is we need an isometric view of this multi-view drawing. And then the last thing that I want you to do is I want you to create a multi-view of this block, this arch right here. So that means that I want a front view to the bottom left, a top view above it, and then a side view to the right. And notice that it does say quickly, so 5 minutes or less. So in other words, it's not going to look perfect. It's not even going to look close to perfect. But the point is I want you to try to develop those skills. I don't want you to spend a whole lot of time worrying about super specific dimensions or things like that. I want you to try to develop those skills of drawing and how I'm actually going to visualize what the front view, the top view, and the side view of this shape looks like. Don't forget that if you need any, you should include object lines, hidden lines, and center lines inside this shape itself. Okay? It goes into a little bit more detail about how to create a front view. Just remember that the front view, the best way to put it is the front view is going to give the most information about the object itself. So if you choose the wrong front view, it's going to look your top, front, and side views are going to look a little bit different, but it should still work out the same relatively. So don't worry about not picking the right front view. Um, it should all work out. Okay, so once again, to reiterate, what I need from you guys is I need this finished sketch from the quickly part of this circle. I need this, okay? I need the isometric sketch of this shape, and I also need a multi-view of this shape. And that's what I'm gonna need for you guys for part 2. Good luck, and I will talk to you tomorrow.